Hello and welcome to Euphoria. I recently built the Sanctum Sanctorum building from Lego set number 76218. In this video I'm going to give you some of my thoughts about the building. There are a couple of videos on my channel in which I showed you why I wanted to build this building. I had a look at some of the features, built the set, and looked at the most interesting details and building techniques. Now, having built the building, I want to have another look at what I think about the build. As I explained in my previous videos, I bought this set without the minifigs. It was a lot cheaper than buying the whole set. So this is not a full review of the set, as I don't have the minifigs and I don't know enough about the building in the Marvel universe that it's supposed to represent. But I can tell you what I think about the building as I find it. So in this video I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts about the building itself. As you can see from the size of the box and the pictures of the set, this is a large set and makes a substantial building. The set has 2,708 pieces, but of course I have a few less pieces because I haven't got the 9 minifigs or their accessories that normally come with the set. There are some play features and build options and lots of details and some clever build techniques that I looked at in the build videos, and they make this set an interesting build. I do love the look of this set. It looks like a really solid classical style building with its masonry walls and columns that really look like it belongs in a city centre. I like the grand entrance with the steps and the impressive doors, which is framed nicely by these 2 young trees. I like the symmetrical front facade with the windows and columns on each side. And then there's the feature window, this round window with dormer windows in the mansard roof, which are also symmetrical and aligned with the windows in the facade. I like the columns in classical style on the facade, which give the building some verticality and height and a sense of presence. I like that it's a corner building. I especially like the way this angled corner is built, and it has the normal pavement or sidewalk on 2 sides that you would find on a standard modular corner building. It's a full building with all its sides and a back, which is rather plain, I suppose, and it has this alley down the side instead of extending to the edge of the base plate like a normal modular building. On the other side of the building, that's also fairly plain. It has no windows, but there is this breakout feature with these panels which are interchangeable. The side facade of the building carries on the theme of the main facade with the same style of the base, and the rest of the building with the windows with their little railings. There's a side entrance and then more of the windows in the mansard roof. In many ways this is a modular building. It's just badged under the Marvel theme rather than the Creator Expert theme. The pavement or sidewalk extends along the front and side of the building in the usual corner layout, and even has the usual drains by the curb and a lamppost. It is built so that each floor is a separate module which can be removed for access to the interior. On the ground floor there's also this mezzanine section which removes to give access to the corridor at the back of the building. But again, I have some thoughts about that which I'll go into later. It looks like a corner modular building, but it's not quite a full corner because there's an alleyway down the side of the building which separates it from a building that would go next to it. Normally a corner modular building would extend to the edge of the base plate and connect to the adjacent building on this side, and also on the other side here. This set is designed to sit next to the Daily Bugle building, which also has an alley at the side. The modular connection points at the edge of the base plate are maintained on each building, so not only do they clip together, but they also are compatible with the standard modular building range. There is a lamppost with this set, but it's round the side here rather than at the front, where you would normally find one in a standard modular building. Having said all that, and as I explained in the overview, there are lots of great features of the set. The design does well to represent the character of the main facade of the building, with its symmetrical layout of columns and windows, with the main entrance and feature windows in the middle. The side elevation has the smaller second door at the side, and these much taller columns framing the side window. Internally, the main entrance hall with its staircase is a really good build. I really like that the set has a fully tiled ground floor in this brown and tan checkerboard pattern. There's a very impressive interior to this set, with the grand staircase leading up from the front door via this mezzanine level, and this is cleverly designed so that it can be slotted into the ground floor without any real attachment points. Joins up beautifully with the top of the staircase, and that brings you to the study, which is on the first floor, with its really detailed bookcases, armchairs in the sitting area, and ornaments and artifacts on the shelves. The sloping mansard roof looks good in this sand green colour, and the large and iconic round window with its distinctive pattern of panes is prominent in the roof. This is unique to this building as far as I know. The top floor of course has the feature window, and on this level the interior has some more display cabinets and artifacts from the movies. The play features with the different portals appearing behind the door and the interchangeable panels are really clever. as we saw during the build. There are lots of details inside the building, and these even include details in the side entrance area. So for fans, there are lots of great details in the build and references to the stories around the building. I found this set to be really enjoyable to make, and I showed the main stages of the build in the 2 build videos earlier in this series. Most of the floor sections and the walls are built using the normal modular building techniques, but there are some interesting build techniques within this set. The front entrance is made almost entirely with studs on the side, and the doors are an assembly of plates and tiles with stickers to represent the glass inserts. The angled corner of the building is a masterpiece of assembly using these 45-degree angled slope pieces and a complex assembly of bricks, plates and tiles to form this 45-degree corner construction. Which uses parts that have probably only been introduced in the last few years. And this technique is continued with more brackets, snot bricks, wedge plates and sloping tiles to construct the upper part of the corner. And this has a corner window as well, cleverly capped off by a corner plate and tile arrangement. There's an interesting technique for making the round window frame in the slope of the roof and for attaching the iconic round window piece into the frame. And there's some novel use of parts, such as these gear tracks used as decorative elements. There are some rather specialised wedge pieces used for making the corner of the roof. They're provided specially for this set, and the slope of the opposite hand is not available in this colour. So if you wanted to mirror this build, it could get awkward. When you look at the design of this building closely, you find that there are, of course, some compromises with the design. Every Lego set is a compromise of some sort, and every sort of model is a compromise. Even if you tried to make an accurate model of this building, if you can have an accurate model of a fictional location, for example as a plastic model kit, it would still be a compromise. So the comments in this video are not being critical of Justin and the team that designed the set. They've done a great job on the design. But I just want to examine some of the design choices that clearly had to be made to fit this building into a Lego model that can fit in a modular footprint. You might notice that the original building has 2 angled corners, whereas this build has just 1 angled corner. This, of course, gives more space for the main facade, as well as fitting the design within the parameters of a corner modular building. This is not a full-scale building, but this is true of all modular buildings, of course, even a normal house, except maybe a small house, in true minifig scale would be larger than a standard modular, at least in its width and depth, and probably a little bit in height as well. But of course, to make a realistic building in minifig scale would require a really large model, which wouldn't be affordable. I guess the nearest they've come to minifig scale are some of the UCS series of Star Wars sets, like the AT-AT, which then ends up being very expensive. Like many LEGO models, the inside is a different scale to the outside. This is not uncommon in LEGO sets. For example, the various representations of Star Destroyers from Star Wars, where a massive vessel has just 1 or 2 rooms inside. So in this building, the interior and exterior are out of scale with each other. The interior is really just 1 room on each level, whereas a building of the size shown in the movies would have lots of rooms on each level. The only place where there's more than 1 room in this building is the ground floor, where the side door leads to a corridor separated from the main entrance hall. The windows themselves are very small, and I feel they should be twice as wide and twice as tall to be properly scaled for a minifig scale building. Similarly with the windows in the roof. Although windows in an attic space would normally be small, these are windows for a full-size room at the top, and could do with being larger. If it wasn't for the large feature window, the top floor would be very dark. That scaling down also leads to some compromises. I do appreciate how Justin and the team have managed to represent the features of the building in the films. That even includes the round window on the lower part of the first floor, with a more solid window above it to represent the building in the films. These 2 sets of windows on the middle floor imply that there are 2 floors of the building. But inside there's only 1 floor. This is cleverly referenced in the way that the columns break halfway up the floor, which also kind of implies a break in the structure, which would, in a real building, be another floor. I think the proportions of the facade have been kept very well by scaling down the columns to the width of a single brick, which looks okay, but they would be a more realistic size if they were a bit wider. Nevertheless, the proportions and feel of the building exterior have been very cleverly scaled down in proportion and are well represented. It would be great to scale this building up to a more realistic scale, and there are some other possibilities for mocking this build, but I'd have to do some thinking and design work before starting yet another mock project around this set. I do have some other minor criticisms of this build, which again I have to temper by saying that I do understand that these are design choices and they're constrained by the size of the model, piece count, cost and so on. It's a favourite beef of mine, but despite the magnificent staircase in the main entrance, there's no staircase to the top floor. I understand why the designers choose to do this, because it takes a lot of space, but I still find it a bit of an issue that there's no way for minifigs to reach the top floor. Another compromise I find often occurs in LEGO buildings is the addition of chimneys on the roof without a corresponding fireplace inside. In some sets, like this Santa's Visit set, the chimney and fireplace form a central part of the set, and with that set there's even a play feature for Santa to come down the chimney. But of course in this building that isn't required. There are 3 chimneys and 9 chimney pots, which would imply a large number of fireplaces inside the original building. Unfortunately, there are no fireplaces at all represented in this version of the building. If you look carefully at the facade, you find that the windows are not very evenly spaced, and there are inconsistencies in the spacing between the columns and the windows. For example, at the end of the building here, there's no space between the window and the column, whereas in the middle of the facade here, there's half a brick between the window and the column, but in the centre bit here, there's a full brick between the window and the adjacent column. This is mostly down to the geometry of the bricks, the desire to keep the facade symmetrical, and to roughly represent the overall feel of the original building design within the limited space and size available. I mentioned that on the ground floor there's a side door into a corridor at the back of the building. The corridor has some nice details and is separate from the main entrance hall, but there's no way to get from the corridor into the rest of the building. I know it's meant to be a secret entrance, but if you were to consider this as a normal building, this doesn't make sense. There needs to be a door or a secret access through the fridge or something into the main building. The next floor has a lot of space taken up by the grand staircase and has a big hole in the middle, so the space on this level is very limited. Given that there's only really one room inside the building, there's remarkably little floor space, really just enough for the bookcases and these two armchairs. There would of course be a bit more room if the building extended to the back of the base plate, as a regular modular building would do, but that would change the proportions of the building as well. The back of the building is relatively plain. There is the mechanism to control the portal play feature, which appears on the inside of the building. And there's a secret entrance at the back, which is in the alley. I'm guessing that's part of the story, and it's a great play feature with the ability to swap out the different optional panels. If you're placing the building on a shelf, the back will go against a wall, so this plain back won't be a big issue. And if you're putting the building in a Lego city, really the back has to go up against another building or a wall, so it doesn't matter that it's plain there either. The building configuration can be changed by swapping around the optional panels. I showed how that works in the build video, and I had a play with different configurations. One of the options for the panel at the side is to have the monster coming out of the side of the building. That looks great when the set is being displayed or played with, but of course it doesn't work if you're using it as a modular building, because there would be another building on the side here. In that case, you can either miss the panel off, put it in one of the other optional positions, or turn it round so that the monster appears inside the building. Or you could just rebuild the panel without the monster. And if you want to show the monster coming out of the back of the building into the alley, it won't fit if you do have an adjacent building. Obviously that doesn't work so well if you're using this as a modular building. It'll be difficult to swap out the panels on the back because there would be another building on the side. Then we come to the construction of the iconic round window, which is going to go in this space here. Maybe it was the way I built it, but I do find it a bit disappointing that the window doesn't seem to fit exactly within the frame. There are lots of stickers with this set and no printed parts. I guess that's okay, especially for the way I've built the set, as I haven't applied the stickers that are specific to the Marvel Universe, and that means I can apply my own or just miss them off completely. I really enjoyed constructing this set according to the instructions, so that I'm familiar with all the parts of the set and the way it's put together. And I've been able to look at the different build options. I do like the classical style of this building with its masonry walls, columns and mansard roof. I also like that it's a corner building. I especially like the angled corner. And it's on a standard 32 by 32 base plate and already meets the standards for a modular building. I think it's a great building, and as a traditional style city house, I think it easily deserves a place in my LEGO city. I do have some ideas about modifying or expanding this building, but I'll have to structure those ideas and put them into a separate video. Do you think that Justin and the LEGO team did a good job with the design of this set? Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please press the like button if you liked this video, hit the bell to be informed of any updates, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos about this project, my other MOCs and further developments in my LEGO city.